Hello and welcome to another edition of Cinder's Playground. I'm, of course, your host, Cinder.
And I'm Jose.
And today, man, we both collectively decided, since we're in the beginnings of season 4 of Daredevil on Netflix, the Born Again series, that we'd do a brief history of this classic comic book character from Marvel. Sir, are you excited about this? And are you ready for me to drop this knowledge on you and the people listening?
Yeah, I want to see things that I didn't hear before, like, things I never heard about. I like Daredevil. I liked them before the series, but obviously when they started doing the Netflix series, it definitely was like, damn, this guy's cool as hell. Like, you learn things about him that you didn't know before. Um but yeah, I'm excited to learn.
Me too, man. And actually, while doing this, it kind of makes me like, damn, I kind of want to go back and watch the first 3 seasons. Again, I want to watch more. I probably should while I wait for this current season to finish up. Just so I can just be fresh on it. But we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, let's without further ado, let's get into it, man. Um, so Daredevil is a superhero appearing in Marvel Comics, created by Stan Lee and Bill Everett. Daredevil is the alias of Matt Murdock, who is a blind lawyer working in Hell's Kitchen of New York. He gained his powers after pushing a man out of the way of a truck that was carrying radioactive substances, which blinded him and also heightening his other senses. His father, Jack Murdock, was a boxer who was killed by mobsters after refusing to throw a fight, which led him to being an orphan, who then was taken in by his master, simply known as Stick. Matt would go on to Columbia University uh, to practice law and get his law degree, and would eventually open up his own practice in with his friend Foggy, Nelson, and Karen. Now I go into how the idea came about, man. Um, so Martin Godman, publisher at Marvel at the time, was so impressed with the success of Spider-Man and asked Stan to create a similar character, and so Stan based his character on the original Daredevil from the 1930s, who was created by Jack Binder, whose story was he grew up as a mute because he was traumatized from seeing his father murdered and became a marksman with a boomerang and would fight crime. So let me stop right there. So did you know there was a Daredevil before Daredevil?
Uh, no, I definitely didn't.
Neither did I. That was one of the things I didn't know. I was like, oh shit. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, Lee sought help from Bill Everett, who co-created Namor, and he insisted on the help of Jack Kirby as well. So the two came up with the uh, Daredevil's original costume. Those in the know that the all red would come later. Um, he made his debut in Daredevil #1 in April of 1964. Issue 1 covered the origin of Matt's desire for justice and the man that killed his father. Uh, while he would be the man to introduce the. Oh, I'm sorry, I messed up. So Wally Wood, what you call it, would be the man to introduce the now iconic red costume in Daredevil #7. Also, you may not know this, but the design of the costume had communication equipment with radio receivers in the horns to amplify his Century radar. uh, but let's go all the way back a little bit more to 1979. Gary Conway would take over the title with issue 72. He would move uh, uh, he would move Daredevil to San Francisco, and he would bring in Black Widow as a co-star. They would fight together, eventually becoming lovers. Issues 82 through 107 were published as Daredevil and Black Widow. Then Tony Isabella would become the next writer with issues 118 and would break the two up, which fans did not like, and would be uh but then would be writer Mark Wolfman that would bring uh DD. Well, yeah, I put DD instead of saying Daryl every time on my notes. So Mark Wolfman will that would bring DD back to Hell's Kitchen, and he would be the one to introduce Bullseye in issue 144. Um, then we would move into the 1980s, where Daredevil was becoming more of a crime fiction book thanks to the legendary Frank Miller, who had the iconic run with the character, and he gave DD more martial arts moves to seem more realistic. He would also be the one to introduce ninjas into the Daredevil's world, and he would be the one to bring Elektra into Daredevil's life, and would turn out to be uh, the long on and off again relationship between the two. Miller's take in New York was much different and greedier than Spider-Man's New York, um, which is why I think this run is so memorable. So after issue 191, Miller would leave the series, and we would, um, which was one of the best Daredevil arcs, was the Frank Miller run, in my opinion. But But actually, the name of his arc was Born Again, and that went from issue 228 to 233. Okay, I wrote this in my notes. Spoilers ahead if you actually want to read this stuff, but I would skip like a few seconds, maybe like a couple minutes. If you don't want any big spoilers, if you want to go back and read some of this original stuff. Anyway, you've been warned. So if you want to read this, this is this is where Karen Page becomes a drug addict and sells Matt's secret identity to the Kingpin. Besides that, he finds his long lost mother, Maggie, who is a nun. Uh, so that all happened, like I said, in Frank Miller's run. And then and I don't know, I'm saying this wrong. And Nassau Colette, who would become the series' longest writer, believe it or not, ranging from issue 238 to 291. And this run plays a lot of attention to the legal part of Matt's life, and we would get introduced to Typhoid Mary, who was another mainstay in Daredevil's universe. Then we jump ahead to the 1990s, where DG Cheekchester, I'm sorry, I'm saying that wrong, took over the book and makes Daredevil take uh makes Daredevil take Kingpin into the I'm sorry. I wrote this wrong. And would take Kingpin into power of the entire underworld of New York City. And then also, while this was going on, we get a surprise miniseries with Frank Miller returning to the book with his little miniseries called Daredevil: The Man Without Fear, which was a look back at Matt's young life and when he met Foggy and he met Stick, and we also find out more about his father. Then, 1993, we would begin a new story arc where we would see the return of Elektra, and also his duties would, not duties, his abilities would get upgraded with it having more, with his suit having more protection due to the biometric materials and having pads on his knees and elbows as well. Also upgrading his billy club to become nunchucks or a staff. And also, this is where his secret identity is exposed. So he faces, excuse me. So he faces his own mortality, but he fakes his own death to escape this. Oh, what the fuck? Okay. But he escapes this by faking his own death and begins to fight villains as Jack battling. But that didn't last long. So in 1998, Daredevil was rebooted. Because the whole turning the Jack Battling thing kind of lost its luster and people stopped buying the book because it wasn't Daredevil anymore. So they canceled it and then rebooted it again in
Yeah, they were
1998.
who
Hmm?
is they were probably like, "Who is that?"
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, that was a bad move. Like I said, not the smartest thing Marvel has done, you know. But yeah, so in 1998, it was rebooted, and what you got? And oh, I'm sorry, it was ended in with issue 380, and then was rebooted, and would come back as this takes me back. Is so it comes back with a new title in a new take on the character, written by Kevin Smith. Uh, Uh, and this would be his first job as a writer in comics, and he would go on to write other books, including Batman. Um, and his story arc was called Guardian Devil, where Kevin tells the story of Daredevil struggling to protect a boy who is said to be the Antichrist. Also, in this arc, Karen Page is killed by Bullseye, and Black Widow returns as well. It was a good arc, even though I never finished it personally because Kevin took so long in between issues. You know, I guess because he was still making movies at that time, so he didn't have a lot of time to write books, I guess. But I was like, well, why do you take the fucking job then? um, so yeah, I never finished this story arc, but from what I read, it was good. You know, I just don't get it. So that's something else I got to hunt down. You know, the rest of those books. You know, because despite how I feel about Kevin now, he that was a good run. Um, and what's good? Oh yeah, so after Smith's run, David Mack would take over the title, and his arc would you would see the introduction of Echo into the Marvel universe. What you call it, which is those you don't know, it's a blind a Filipino girl that has martial arts skills. Nothing over the top or anything. But those of you who watched the series, the five of you that did, let me know in the comments. Yeah, how that series was on Disney Plus. Then in 2000, Brian Michael Bendis took over the book. Who is one of my favorite fucking comic book writers? Mainly because he was in charge of all the Ultimate books from Marvel. Those of you who don't read comics, the Ultimate was a totally separate universe from the main Marvel universe, where you had Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate Avengers, Ultimate Hulk, Ultimate Captain America, and yeah, so it's basically an ultimate universe, and everybody was kind of connected and everything like that. And it was different takes on the classic Marvel characters. I may have touched on this with you, Jose, before, because this is like the universe where like Hulk is a cannibal, you know, and Thor's an alcoholic, you know. So that's why I love the books so much because it took these characters and put them in different scenarios and different personas, you know. So another reading recommendation I have for you guys. Like I said, if you can get your hands on any of the Ultimate stuff, I highly recommend it. Anyway, also, by the way, not only did he come up with the Ultimates line of books, but he was the one who created Miles Morales. So you can thank Michael for that as well, which I know because I don't like Miles Morales. And so anyway, in this run, he finds a love interest who was also blind, named Mila Donovan, and we get to see Vanessa Fisk take over the Kingpin's empire. Um, what you call it? And then also in this run, Matt would be in prison. Matt would be in prison, and him trying to prove his innocence while in prison. So a lot of shit going on in this arc. So again, that goes back to my man, Brian Michael Bendis. Man, he's that kind of a good writer, you know. But then after his run, what do you call it? 2009, Andy Diggle takes over the book, and he makes Daredevil the new leader of the Hand. Um, which is the group of ninjas that Elektra was formerly the head of. Um, so so this arc, which carries on into the next arc, where Bullseye kills 100 people with a bomb. Then Daredevil takes the hand and goes after him in this long story arc titled Shadowland, which is another good run, another good story arc in the Daredevil universe. Then in 2011, the title is relaunched again with Volume 3 with writer Mark Waid, who focuses on Matt's powers and how they relate in the real world. So this is him using him in his everyday life, pretty much. But this volume only lasted to 36 issues. But Wade would still hang on to the character because he would return still writing Daredevil when Marvel rebooted the entire universe with the all new Marvel. And Daredevil would become part of the new Avengers also with the all new Marvel. Um, and also has his own separate book as well. Then fast forward, so all new, all Marvel. Was the relaunch of the entire Marvel universe. So that's been going on for a while until you get to 2019 and saw the return of Kingpin, who in his return becomes mayor of New York City. You know, so that happened in 2019. Now, so that's the arc they've been going for up until uh 2020, where DD is back in Hell's Kitchen, and where at this point he is a New York legend, so much so that ordinary citizens take up the Daredevil mantle and stop petty crimes when they can, and even Elektra shows her face now and again in his books, more so regularly than any other character in his universe. Um, Even though even though they're no longer together, what you call it. Well, that's where we are right now with his comic book publications. Before I go on, got anything to add or surprises for me that you want to share?
No, I wish I had surprises. No.
Yes.
Um
No, I mean surprises for you that I left out from all his comic book stories and stuff like that.
no, I was surprised to see how many different people took
Took
the
over the
man.
book.
Yeah.
Hmm. I mean, for me, and I'm sure I'm not alone, like when you think of Daredevil, to me, I think of Frank Miller because he's kind of the guy who put his stamp on the character, pretty much. Because Frank Miller one was the one where it's more of a noir kind of gritty crime drama, pretty much, man, which I like. I like the superhero shit too. Like when he comes across super villains and shit like that, that's cool too. But nah, the essence of Daredevil to me is the Frank Miller run. For me. But what else? So next thing on my list, what I like to do when we do these comic book bios, we need the powers. So Matt Murdock is blind, but his remaining four senses function with superhuman accuracy. Very few know that he's actually blind. He can also identify people based on their heartbeats, which helps them when he questions someone in the courtroom. Um, Also, introduced in Frank Miller's initial run, Daredevil has the ability to scan a wide spectrum of sounds and can also focus. Sorry, he can scan a wide spectrum of sound and actually isolate one sound in particular if he needs to hone in on it. And his smell can also detect people as well. Um, he is when he was younger, he was a pretty much self-taught boxer, mimicking his old man. Until Stick taught him various forms of martial arts and was also all kinds of mixture of styles. His iconic baton was self-made, designed as a blind man's cane when he is Matt Murdock, but it can be extended, detached to form nunchucks, and it has a grapple hook mechanism to get from rooftop to rooftop. He also excels in detective work and interrogation tactics. Um, Yeah, that's his abilities. So what do you think about that?
I could imagine that last one. Like, I mean, he's a lawyer, so
I mean, because because yeah, because like if somebody's lying, their heart kind of speeds up and stuff like that. So I'm sure that comes in handy when he's in the courtroom. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, really? Really? It's like I don't think you're telling the truth there, buddy. You know?
Yeah, his
Huh?
weapon was something that I always like. I mean, I always felt like it was more than just nunchucks. Like I thought he used it to like swing and stuff as well. But
Well, yeah, that's what the grappling hook it has a grappling hook mechanic too.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
and like,
stuff. I don't know. That's why I liked it. It was like multi
mhm.
faceted.
Oh, by the way, why don't you tell the viewers what you got at Comic Con like this past year?
Oh,
Which
I
is,
got a replica, metal replica that works.
hmm yeah, he has the famous Daredevil Billy Clubs, man. Just cause I'm a little jealous. I'm not gonna lie. But
Yeah.
well, maybe this year I'll get some kind of superhero weapon of some kind. Like it's
Well, I did get the lightsaber, so
yeah, well, that's not a superhero thing.
but it's still badass.
Oh, it is. Like I said, yes, it is my Darth Vader lightsaber, which like I said, for years. You know how many for years I've been saying I'm gonna get. I was like, I'm gonna get a Darth Vader lightsaber. I've seen that for years, man. And then, like I said, we went to come out on the show. I was like, fuck it, it's time.
I I just like I think that was like the first thing, like the second stand we went to, and
Yep,
you're like,
yep. It's like buying it, buying it. Okay. Okay. Next, we're going to other media now. Well, let's just get this out of the way right now. On 2003's Daredevil with Ben Affleck, and it was directed by Mark Steven Johnson, who was one of the worst directors ever. If you want to see me go in on him even more in our archives, I have an episode titled "Worst Directors Ever," so you can check that out in the comics. If I remember, I'll link it in the description. Yeah, he's a piece of trash. Uh, oh, okay. Uh, but that's all I got to say about that. Let's move on to the good shit, which is in 2015 we would get, in my opinion, the best adaptation of Daredevil, which is Daredevil debuting on Netflix. And we go 3 seasons. And can we pause for a second and appreciate Daredevil season 1? To me, probably the best superhero series, live action superhero
I,
series.
it's up there. It's between that one or Punisher,
Oh yeah, Punisher was dope too. Yeah, but I mean, Daredevil was
but
just
Daredevil is definitely the shit. That shit was that was on a whole nother level.
it really was, bro. Like I said, very few shows when I sit and watch them, I don't want to stop watching them. Like I said, that happened with this shit. I started watching. I was like, oh man. I'm like, oh dude, what's gonna happen next? I was like, oh man, I need to see the next episode. Next thing you know, something's coming up. I was like, bro, I did. This had that effect on me, and The Mandalorian had that effect on me. Those are only two shows in recent memory that did that to me, where I wanted to keep watching. You know. Yeah. So yeah, Daredevil season 1 on Netflix is just fucking rich. Um. So anyway, the series would have 3 more seasons. I mean, we'll have 2 more seasons, and now we're currently in the 4th season as we record this today. It's probably on episode 4 or 5, I think, this week or whatever. And of course, it's on Disney Plus, and we will give our thoughts on it when the season's over, because I'm gonna watch it. Well, I'm gonna binge it when it's over, and then we'll revisit this and talk about the series and everything else for you guys, and you guys can chime in and tell me what you thought about this season. Anyway, so last thing, as I always do when I do comic book characters, I give you guys reading recommendations, man. So here's a few, and it's funny when I was coming to this, like, man, there's so many good ones. I'm like, but then I was like, well, I don't want to sit here and list all of them, but here we go anyway. Well, we got the aforementioned Guardian Devil, which is the Kevin Smith run, so you can get that in a paperback with all the issues combined. I highly recommend that, which is something I'm gonna have to buy because I never finished that story off, which I would like to see how it ended. So I don't know. Um, then we have, oh yeah, as I mentioned, the Brian Michael Bendis run. Um, what you call it? Which is awesome. Uh, excuse me. And this, like, his whole run was like he brought everybody in. I mean, we got this besides Kingpin and Bullseye, we got the Owl Man, Mr. Hyde, Typhoid Mary, Jigsaw, and others. So yeah, so the Michael Bendis run, like I said, just go to your local comic store, bookstore, go to the graphic novels, look for Daredevil, look for Brian Michael Bendis. That's all you need to know. Then of course we got the legendary Frank Miller's run, Daredevil, the Man Without Fear. Uh, it's just great shit, man. Like I said, and this is a story where Karen sells Daredevil's secret identity. I know because she's a cracked out crack whore. So yeah, gritty, dark stuff, man, and that's why I like it. Is that all pretty? Being a superhero is not all pretty, man. It's not. What you call it? Especially when you're working in Hell's Kitchen. Yeah. So yeah. Uh, next one I have is Daredevil. What's that? Mayor Fisk. So this is where Kingpin becomes the mayor in New York City. So it's fairly recent. So like I said, like 2019. Yeah. So definitely check that out. It's kind of like when Lex became the president in the Superman books. Because like he's a government figure now, so you can't really just go out and beat his ass. So gotta find ways around that, man, and everything like that. And I think Daredevil and Kingpin have a great dynamic because Wilson knows who he is, but he chooses not to let this like put him on blast. He wants to keep that on him, if you know what I mean. It's like, yeah, motherfucker, I know who you are. That's cool, Which I think they dive into in this new season of Daredevil too. Like I said, because I'm trying not to look at spoilers and shit, man. But sometimes shit just be on my feed, man. uh, then you have the Mark Wade run. This is where he teams up with the Punisher, and like I said, it was a great run. This came out in 2011, uh, and yeah, look for that again. Daredevil, Mark Wade. You know, Matt Murdock and the Punisher, man. Or Daredevil and the Punisher, I should say. Good combo. I like both those characters, man. So that's a good read. And lastly, if you want a good overall view, I recommend getting Daredevil 60 Years, which is chronicles his whole um publication history. Like I said, if you want just a good overview of his history, just buy Daredevil 60 Years. But that is all my reading recommendations. I could go on, but I figure those are the most important ones, if that makes any sense. So, sir, any thoughts, questions, opinions care to share with me and the audience?
No, I actually would want to try and read something from him just to see how it looks like in comics. But yeah, no, that's pretty awesome. I'm glad you did this research.
I did. I did. Like I said, we don't go to really in-depth analysis of these characters because, like I said, a lot of these characters have 50, 60, 70, uh, some of them 80 years history of publication. So, like I said, we don't want to make this a 4 hour long video. You know what I mean? So we try to give you guys a brief overview, get you the high points of these characters and what we recommend you should read. Pretty much. That's what we try to do here, for those of you unfamiliar with these characters that we do. Speaking of which, it's been a long time since we did one of these, so let us know in the comments if you want to see somebody else in the comic books get a bio and gets the Cinder treatment. Let me know. Let me know in the comments. But like I said, don't want to keep you guys, so we're just gonna call it here. I am Cinder. If you want, you can contact me on Instagram at Cinder666. post about updates about the show, geek news, and updates about the channel. So get in contact with me over there. Also, have a TikTok, Cinder6667. Over there, same deal. Updates about the show, comic book. Well, not say comic book, but geek news. And cool / funny shit I find on the internet. So you can catch me over there. Throw it over to my co-host.
And I'm Jose. You can catch me on Instagram at JoseCE90. Yeah, let us know what your favorite Daredevil book is or what you would like to learn. Whether it be a hero, villain, let us know and we could try and do an episode on them.
Oh, for sure. Like I said, I'm all about doing hero comic book bios and everything like that, man. 'Cause like I said, I'll always find at least one thing that I didn't know about the character, which is the exciting part for me. Because, like I said, I've been kind of damn near all my life, so a lot of these characters I know pretty well. So, like I said, but yeah, give me, well, just say give us, running recommendations. If you guys want to know more information about a comic book character, I'll be happy to do it. And as you know, in Senator's Playground, we're not just, fixated on comics. You can suggest any kind of topic you want in geek culture. We'll try our best to tackle it. Like I said, my channel is not a one trick pony. Like I said, we do a lot of things over here in Senator's Playground. And like I said, we're open to suggestions, any kind of suggestions. And like I said, get at us on our socials and in the comments as well. And if you're new here, this is your first time listening, please consider subscribing. Doesn't cost you anything. Makes me feel better about what we're doing here, And like I said, doesn't make and it what you call helps the channel as well, And like I said, get a like, share, subscribe, comment down below. I am Cinder. He is Jose. We will talk to you guys later.
Peace out. Peace out.